Let's start with an empty jar. It represents potential, a fresh start, the beginning of a safety net. Now let's start filling it. $1 at a time, we're building a buffer against the unexpected. We watch the number climb. Each bill added is a small victory, a bit of breathing room. For most people, this is just responsible financial planning. It's the fund for a sudden car repair that gets you to work, the security deposit on a safer apartment, or a few months of groceries if you lose your job. It's the freedom to handle a crisis without falling into debt. We're aiming for a modest goal, a common benchmark for a small emergency fund. $2,000. There. $2,000. It doesn't seem like a lot, does it? But this specific number is critically important. This limit was set by the United States government back in 1984, and it has not been updated for inflation since. If it had kept pace, this jar would hold nearly $6,000 today, but it doesn't. For me, and for millions of other disabled Americans, this jar represents a legal and financial cliff. It is a hard ceiling. If the total value of my countable assets, my savings, my checking account, any cash I have on hand, goes even $1 over the amount in this jar, I'm no longer eligible for the federal benefits that provide my life-saving healthcare and basic income support. It's a system that forces a permanent state of poverty, trapping people in a cycle where they can't save for a better future without sacrificing their immediate survival. This isn't just a policy oversight, it's a paradox that punishes financial responsibility. Welcome to the disability asset trap. To understand the impossible situation millions of disabled Americans find themselves in, you have to start with a number, $2,000. This is the asset limit for Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, the federal program that provides a modest monthly income to disabled people who can't work full-time. If your total countable assets exceed $2,000 at the beginning of any month, you lose your benefits. Not just for that month, but until you spend back down below the line. Now here's the critical part. This limit was set by Congress in 1984. It has not been changed, not even once, in over 40 years. It is not indexed to inflation. It is a number frozen in amber while the world changed completely around it. Think about 1984. A gallon of gas was $1.10. The average rent for an apartment was about $350 a month. Today that rent is easily 4 or 5 times higher in many cities. Yet the safety net meant to help people survive in our modern economy is stuck in the past. If that $2,000 limit had simply kept pace with inflation, it would be nearly $6,000 today. That's a $4,000 difference, the cost of a car repair, a security deposit, or a medical emergency. It's the difference between stability and constant crisis. So what exactly are countable assets? It's not as simple as the cash in your wallet. The Social Security Administration looks at your checking and savings accounts, stocks, bonds, and any cash value from life insurance policies. It includes a second car or any property you own besides the home you live in. They don't count your primary home, one vehicle, or your personal belongings and furniture, but anything that could be converted to cash to pay for food or shelter is counted. This rule effectively makes it impossible to save for the future. You can't build an emergency fund. You can't save for a down payment on a more accessible home. You are forced to live perpetually one unexpected expense away from total destitution. At this point, a common reaction is, well, if the rules are so strict, just don't take the government money, get a job. But this fundamentally misunderstands the nature of the trap. For the vast majority of people on SSI, the small monthly check, often less than $1,000, isn't the main reason they need the program. The real, non-negotiable lifeline is Medicaid. In most states, qualifying for SSI automatically makes you eligible for Medicaid, and for people with significant disabilities, Medicaid is not just health insurance, it's the key to survival. Private insurance plans, even the best ones, are designed around the needs of a generally healthy population. They often have strict limits on or outright refuse to cover the things that people with complex medical needs depend on. We're talking about the many hours of personal care attendant services needed each day to help with bathing, dressing, and eating. We're talking about ultra-lightweight or custom-molded power wheelchairs that can cost as much as a car. Or the specialty medications and biologic drugs that can run thousands of dollars per dose. Medicaid covers these things. Private insurance often does not. So the system creates a brutal, impossible choice. Give up any hope of a career or financial independence to keep the healthcare that keeps you alive, or pursue a life with more opportunity and risk going bankrupt from medical and care costs, and ultimately risk your life. This isn't a choice, it's a trap. So, what happens when you try to do what society tells you is the right thing? You work hard, you follow the rules, you try to build a small cushion for yourself. Let's imagine you've been working a part-time job, maybe picking up extra shifts when your health allows. You diligently squirrel away every spare dollar, dreaming of one day replacing a worn-out appliance or simply having an emergency fund. Then, one day, you do it. You hit $2,001 in your savings account. For a moment, you might feel a sense of pride, of security. But the system doesn't see it that way. An automated program, somewhere in the depths of the Social Security Administration's servers, flags your account. There's no warning, no conversation. Your lifeline is simply cut, your benefits are suspended, and then comes the gut punch, the overpayment notice. This is a terrifying piece of mail that informs you that because you were technically ineligible for benefits, the moment your assets cross the threshold, you now owe the government money. It's not just the benefits from the month you went over. The SSA can demand you pay back months, sometimes years of support, arguing you were over-resourced. Suddenly you're not just without your monthly income, you're saddled with a debt that can climb into the tens of thousands of dollars. The burden of proof is on you to fight it. A soul-crushing process of appeals, hearings, and endless paperwork that can drag on for years, all while you have no income. It's a trap designed to punish ambition. But the cruelty of the system doesn't stop at individual savings. It extends into the most personal parts of life, including love and marriage. If you are a disabled person on SSI, you are allowed your $2,000 in assets. If you fall in love with another person on SSI, you might think that as a married couple, your combined asset limit would simply be 2 times $2,000 or $4,000. That would be logical, but the rules are not logical. The moment you get married, your combined asset limit doesn't double. It's slashed to just $3,000 for the couple. This is the infamous marriage penalty. The government literally, through its own policy, makes it financially punishing for 2 disabled people to form a family. It forces an impossible choice. Do you want a partner or do you want to keep your healthcare and your income? This policy actively discourages companionship and stability, treating marriage not as a social good, but as a liability. Now, you might have heard of some workarounds. The most common one is the ABL account, created by a 2014 law. These are tax-advantaged savings accounts that allow some disabled people to save money without it counting against their asset limit. And for those who qualify, they can be a genuine help. But the key phrase is, for those who qualify. The rules are incredibly strict. The most significant barrier is the age of onset. Your disability must have begun before your 26th birthday to be eligible. If you were injured in an accident at 27, or diagnosed with a progressive illness at 40, you are completely locked out. Even for those who are eligible, the accounts have their own complex rules about what you can spend the money on, so-called qualified disability expenses. It's a step, yes, but it's like being given a single bucket to bail out a sinking ship. It's a band-aid on a severed artery. The asset trap is a policy failure that keeps millions of brilliant, capable people locked out of the workforce and modern financial stability. It is long past time for Congress to update these limits and untie life-saving health insurance from artificial poverty lines. Share this video to spread awareness because most people have no idea this law even exists. See you next week.